I've seen some common mistakes recently from teams running Tracer in dive, usually from misunderstanding her role and trying to force that big dive that I've been going on about in other videos. If instead we keep thinking about dive being focused on map control and staging, we can see how Tracer slots into that playstyle instead. She has great mobility, duel potential, and probably the best escape on the team, meaning that she's really well suited to pushing out those flanks and skirmishing for control. This flank control is obviously great for Tracer, as when the real engage starts, whether she ends up diving or counter diving, she always wants to be on that alternate angle. It'll make her engage much safer and more effective, as well as splitting enemy attention and camera time. Maybe most importantly, that pressure of her on the flank is going to continue to clump up the enemy team. Often she won't get these flanks for free though, and a big thing that separates Tracers is their skill in these duels for map control. Remember, the goal isn't necessarily to get the kill, but more to claim the space by forcing the enemy out and clumping them up with their team. There is of course a lot of nuance to how Tracer performs this role, but the major thing I see teams miss is not taking advantage of her synergy with the backline. Tracer can use her flex support's help, Zen's best, but Ana works too, to be much more effective at playing for map control and claiming that space. And in return, the support can use that space to sort of consolidate their own positioning so that they're much more secure. This rough idea of a team's backline leaning on a flank, using their DPS to cover that flank, and using distance to keep them safe from the other one, is the basic thought behind strong sides and weak sides, which is a really important concept for dive teams to understand, and I will talk about it more in another video focusing on rotations. But we can see how by sort of leapfrogging forward with her support like this, Tracer can use those heals and utility to control much more of the map and do a much better job at getting on that alternate angle and clumping the enemy team together. And it's from these positions that Tracer's team's in a great place to win fights. They can start and engage on the clump, catch and engage using their map control, or depending on team comps they can even wear the enemy down by poking from their multiple angles. Again, there's a lot of depth to Tracer's roles in dive comps, and she does have a lot of responsibilities outside of this, but this is a pretty good foundation of her core role in dive. And looking at you or your team's decisions through the scope of these ideas is really going to help you identify these situations and find out where you can improve.